Okay. Hello, everyone. We are live tonight, and we are here for women that are leading around the world. Let me see here, Kristyn. I didn't get my comments on here. Okay. Let us know if you're there. If you're there, write in the comments, I'm here, so we can get started. Um, we have a little bit of static, but we're going to work through it tonight because we're coming all the way from Barbados. And I have a firecracker with us tonight. So let us know you're here. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Xenia. Thank you for letting us know that you're here. We're going to give you all a few minutes to come in before I introduce her. I am excited. Hi, Ronalda. Glad to see that you're here tonight. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ronaldo, would you do me a favor? I think I did it. I got it. You are in the building, Ronaldo. Very good. Hi, Daphne. Hi, Dwan. Oh, they're coming to hear you tonight. I got a firecracker tonight. I just love her. And you're going to fall in love with her, too. You really are. So, as you all know, I'm doing a 6-week. It was supposed to be a 6-week series. But it actually may be longer than 6 weeks because it has been so great. Hi, Carrie. About women leading around the world. And, this is a big topic tonight, especially today, because in the United States, we had our vice presidential nominee. Is a Black female, which Kristyn brought up to me today. But we're going to talk about Barbados tonight. We're going to talk about Barbados, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started as you all are coming in, just joining from Barbados. How are you, Marceline? Good to see you. Joining from Barbados, we have a large contingency from Barbados tonight, from United States, from all over the world. And so I want to find out tonight, I want to introduce you to this young woman that I met probably about, I don't know, a couple months ago, and just absolutely fell in love with her. I fell in love with her spirit. I fell in love with her tenacity, with her drive. Everything she is, I fell in love with her. And she is a physician. She's a young physician. Now, usually we won't tell our age, but she's agreed tonight to tell it. So I'll let her tell it when she comes on. And she is on a mission. She is on a mission. And so wherever you are tonight, if you're a female, if you're a male, if you're a boy, girl, child, whoever you are, grandma, granddad, she is going to encourage you tonight because she is on a mission. So without further ado, I'm going to have her come in and tell you more about herself. But she is an MD. She has other credentials that she's going to talk to you about tonight. And I'm going to welcome to Facebook Live tonight, Dr. Kristyn Kirton. Hi, Dr. Kirton. How are you?
Hi, Mrs. Littles. How are you?
Oh, Mrs. Littles. Oh, she made me feel old now. Okay.
You're sharing my age.
Your age, right? I'm proud of my age, honey. I'm 60, and my thing is mentoring now, so I'm on a roll. So, Kristyn, tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So about me. So that's a question that I usually shy away from, but putting some more thought into it, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask me, well, who am I? Who is Kristyn? The first thing that comes to mind is I'm a believer. Right? I'm a believer. I'm a believer in God. I believe that we're children of God. I'm a believer. And then added to that, in terms of my identity, I'm a daughter first. I'm a granddaughter. I'm a sister. I'm a fiance. Shout out to him.
Oh.
And I'm a friend. So that's who I am. I tend not to associate myself identity-wise as being a physician. That's something that I put on. That's a role I play between X hours and Y hours. But in terms of who I am at the core, I'm a believer. And to take the question further, who I want to be, because I'm on a mission, as we said. So my mission is to be a creator, and I want to be a facilitator. That's
wow. Well, you already are those things. Well, let me say this. First of all, I learned something new in that statement. I didn't know you were a fiance. See, I listen very carefully because I like to learn new things about people. I was like, okay, I'll definitely be going to Barbados for a wedding. For sure. I love the way you identify who you are, because titles and job descriptions and what we do come and go.
Exactly.
But who we are as at our core is who we are. Tell us about how you grew up. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up. Did you grow up in Barbados?
I did. I did. Born and raised completely here. I went to primary school, so your equivalent of elementary school would have been Charles F. Broom. Essentially, my childhood mirrored that of my brothers. I had a male influence from that perspective, and I attended secondary school at Harrison College. It's one of our top institutions here. Shout out to those college grads wherever you are. And then I would have pursued a lot of sports. So I tried literally anything that I could get my hands on. Boys involved, girls involved, it didn't matter. So I tried basketball. I swam for 10 years for the island. I tried hockey. And then the ball scared me, and I tapped out of that. I tried taekwondo, trying to copy my brother, and left him there because that was too vigorous. I tried badminton and then tried tennis, and that's what I do now from time to time. That's my social exercise, the tennis, the lawn tennis part of it.
Wow. You know what? Now, see, I even learned about it. I knew your spirit, that firecracker spirit, you have hockey, taekwondo.
Great. Have to try it.
You, I think it has a lot to do as people hear you tonight.
Mhm.
They're going to hear the person who is the dreamer, the person who is the go-getter. And so a lot of who we are, even as a child,
Mhm.
really our lifetime, our adulthood emulates things that we brought from childhood.
Mhm.
So did you grow up with mom, dad, grandma? What were your favorite things to do as a child, other than all the sports you did?
So you're taking me back. I can't say way back, but you're taking me.
That's right. So you should be able to remember.
So my upbringing is really on my maternal side in terms of my grandmother. That's where I spent literally all of my summers. I didn't like camp. I'm not ashamed to say. And whereas other children would have been happy like playing outside or going to a whole long summer camp, that's where I was with her, with my brother, and then when my cousin came along with her as well, and that's where I just got my roots. That's where I appreciated some good home cooking. I haven't learned all the skills yet. I'm trying.
You're on your way.
That's where I learned the subtle but the ever-present message of if you want it, go get it. Because watching the sacrifices that she made in terms of her job, it was very laborious. Just to share a little bit, and I don't think she would mind, she was a cook. And what they used to do, they would supply for all of the schools across the island. So it would require going in early, working long days, poor back support, because, in those days, they don't know about, ergonomics and stuff like that. And then come home and still find a way to prepare fresh food, to the likings of everyone in the household. So to see that sacrifice, I kind of made it my mission, and she knows now, to make sure that her work didn't go unnoticed and that it wasn't unrewarded. So for me, my mission is not personal; it's more familial. And yeah, it's my mission that I leave her legacy behind and show persons what hard work really can do. We didn't start from much, but we are definitely going places. That's what I say. We're going.
I love it. And I want to shout out to your grandmother. What's your grandmother's name?
So her name is Ione Taylor, and I'm going to actually piggyback off of your shout out to her. And I'm going to announce today that I'm going to name my movement room in my office. That's the place where I conduct my clinical exercise. I'm going to actually name that room after her. So when I expand and there's a wing involved, it's going to be the Ione Taylor movement room.
Wow. Oh, Grandma. That is so awesome. And you all going to hear more about that movement room. But that is a beautiful, beautiful legacy. Beautiful legacy. And it helps us to really think about the fact that we need to go back to the village. We need to go back to the village. So a lot of that made you, you had it sounds like you had a lot of women influence you in your life.
Ever present.
Yes. And so tell us, what are some of the messages? I know that one message about if you want it, go get it. Go get it. But what are some of the other messages that you received from women in your life that you think shaped you for today?
Yeah, so I have a little anecdote for this one. So I would have told you earlier, my mom has three sisters. And one of her sisters, my aunt, we used to make it a little, I would say, a hobby of ours to read quotes, practice interviewing style. She was always focusing me on leveling up, being prepared for the opportunity. And we discovered a book that was given to her. Like it had those old spots, if you can picture it. She had it tucked away. And it was this book of women's quotes. And every day I would kind of be reading it. And then one day she said, just take it. just take it. And when you asked me that, there was one quote in there that did it for us, for the both of us. And it was, being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are, you aren't.
Ooh, come on.
that quotation just did it for me. It's about being humble. It's about letting your work speak for itself. And that transformed me. When I read it, it stuck. As you can see, this is years ago. And that has done it for me. So I was surrounded by aunts, I was surrounded by grandmothers, and this is who I am.
So being powerful is being a lady. I love that.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times, we think that if a woman is powerful,
then
she's not a lady. She's taking on masculine traits, and you and I talked about that, and etc. I love being a woman, all right, and I love being treated like a lady. That's why after 35 years of marriage, I'm happy, Kristyn. I'm happy. So I'll give you some tips later, but I think it's wonderful for us to know that women can be powerful. But always be a lady. Always be a lady.
Always be a
lady. So that is so wonderful. So I want to talk about Barbados, because Barbados, I know from my scene, is beautiful. I'm definitely coming as soon as COVID's over. That's my first stop is Barbados. I've just come to have fallen in love with the people of Barbados. And there's something about the spirit of Barbados that I just absolutely love. So tell us about Barbados, about how it's situated. Is it, what's the percentage of women to men in Barbados, if you know? Tell us a little bit about the island of Barbados.
So the island of Barbados sits completely on its own. We do our own thing. As you would have had an interviewee on earlier who said that she did her, that we do us, right? So we're the only Caribbean island that is essentially surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, right? We don't have any part of the Caribbean Sea, so that's a little bit of geography for you. We're most easterly, so we're all by ourselves. So we're not Jamaica, no, we're not Bahamas, we are Barbados. That's the first thing, separate and apart. We like our countrymen, our fellow persons in CARICOM, but we like persons to know we're individuals too. In terms of the weather, I know you know this. It's hot and humid.
I know.
We are on a good day we're low 80s, and on a bad day we're high 80s, low 90s, and that is year round. That's year round. Yep. We usually have wet. We don't have your seasons. We don't have snow. We don't know what that is.
So you have to come here. I feel a trip coming on.
So it was a culture shock for me. Like I was prepared for the cold, but when I saw negative numbers, I said, well, what is this?
What is this? Oh, I guess, I just moved from Michigan. So I guess if you came to Michigan, West Virginia is 10 degrees warmer. But I guess if you came to Michigan, and you saw 17 below.
No, we don't know that weather. We don't know it. We have beautiful beaches here. In terms of the demographics, we are pretty level. The last census I looked at, we are roughly 1-to-1 in terms of males and females. But what we're noticing is that there's a shift at the tertiary level. In terms of education, there is a shift that we're observing in terms of seeing more females occupying the classrooms, occupying the campus, as opposed to males. Why is that happening? That's a question for the sociologists in the group to tackle, right?
Absolutely. But you said something that's important. You said there's a shift.
Yeah,
that's happening, and I understand that you've had a shift in leadership.
Yes.
So tell us about that, because you have one of your first.
In Yeah, in 2018, we had our first female prime minister, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley. She was sworn in, and she's doing an excellent job. I mean, am I being a little biased? No, because I have the objective information to go on. I know my family might think I might not be as biased because of a particular persuasion I might have. I'm not gonna state that outright tonight, but I'm sure persons can infer.
Yeah.
I think she's doing an excellent job, and I think it goes to her credibility. It goes to the background work that she would have put in. She didn't just appear on the scene, and I mean it's showing. It's showing. And even when she was off recently, who was acting in place of her was yet another female.
Wow.
So I think it's telling us that something is happening, right?
Wow. Now, for the rest of your political makeup, is that mostly male, female, mixture?
It's mixed. I think it's mixed right now. I think it's mixed. But even I think in the opposition, I believe the opposition is run by a female as well. So one side or the other side, you're going to get a female in charge right now.
Okay. All right. That's wonderful. Now is there something that you can say that you attribute that to this rise or this conversation? I mean, obviously we're having a conversation about females, but this rise in the conversation about females.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean to you, if anything?
Yeah, what has contributed? I think there's been a huge education push. I think that also trickling from just globalization, women are starting to see themselves as wanting and deserving more. In terms of education, I think I would have mentioned to you before at some point that I think some men are not only diverging, but they're seeing the world literally as their oyster and they're leaving. So when I was reflecting before I came on, I was saying, yeah, a couple of the guys who would have sat around me in class and would have been my competitors, friendly competitors, they left, right? So they're either in Canada or the UK. So the women are left in a way. Some women have gone too, don't get me wrong, but the stronger women are here, and we're here to take, what is ours, essentially. I'm not saying that it's not for men as well, but I think that there's a shift in understanding that we can do more than sleep. We can do more and keep the house clean. We have eye days too, right? So shift around and make some room at the table.
That's right. That's just shift over a little bit. Make a little room for me. You can stay at the table. Just make a little room for me, right, Kristyn? I love it. Just make a little room.
Make a little room.
And you know what? The idea of making room, because the women are prepared. Yeah. I mean, they're prepared to lead. They're leading, and there's so many things that we do as women that are leading. We're leading in terms of being. I say, if there's a man in the home, we are the COO. He's the CEO of the home. That's my thought. He is the CEO of the home. I love the fact that my husband's the CEO of the home, but I'm that COO. Okay, and I have the back of the CEO. Okay, and so. I think that we're seeing, we really want, one of the things that we want to really let people know, and I appreciate all the men that are tuning in to this conversation, is that to make room for women doesn't take anything away from the role that the man plays. Right. And you and I have talked about, even in your practice and what you do, it's very interesting. I was asking you about how you're building your team and how you're utilizing resources. And we talked about this, male and female. So in terms of leading, we know that Barbados has seen a shift. The world is seeing a shift. We pointed out on several of these shows that a lot of the women that are leading nations that are doing the best in this COVID crisis are led by women.
It's true.
Because I think there are things that we bring uniquely to the table. Not better, but we bring uniquely to the table. And one of those things, Kristyn, is Dr. Kirton. One of those things is.
If you call me Dr. Kirton, I'll call you Mrs. Littles.
Okay, all right, deal. All right. So she's a firecracker. I love her. One of those things is this thought of collaboration, because there was a study by McKinsey and Company. They're a consulting company, and one of the things that they noticed is that women leaders tend to not be afraid. We tend to reach out more externally and internally in terms of collaboration. Have you seen that, experienced that in your life? Like your life, like, okay. What are your thoughts about collaboration though?
So I think collaboration is necessary. Let's start there. I think that life is too short for you to just go off of your own experiences to get where you need to get. You need to learn why somebody fell, where they fell, so that you can more or less circumvent or avoid that happening to you. So you need to share and learn from other person's experiences. With respect to collaboration, I will admit that I think collaborating is tricky. I think that there's some skill involved in doing collaboration because
Well, yes.
it can sound very pretty to say that you're collaborating, but if you form the wrong team, you're more or less tying a sandbag around your waist and sinking quickly. So, surrounded by the right circle, I think the collaboration is absolutely necessary. So, ground principles for me is what is your vision? And does it have to be mine? No, but it has to mesh, it has to work. Because I would never manipulate someone's vision to match mine, but there needs to be some synergy. Because if you're not trying to accomplish the same thing as I, then we're going in two opposite directions and it's not going to work. And then the other thing for me after vision is what are you bringing to the table, right? So you can't come with an empty plate. Please don't come with an empty plate. You know, bring bring some food when you're coming. Don't just bring utensils and be ready to take up what we have here, essentially. So what is your pie? What is your dessert? What is, even if it's water, what are you bringing to the table? And as long as that's contributing to the feast, to keep the analogy going, then we're all in, right?
Good. Okay. Well, look, I need to bring some meat to the table, girl. I need to bring some meat. See, that's why, you know what? I really realize why I love you. I see my younger self in you, girl. That's really why I love myself. I see my younger self in you. I love that. And I think we always need to be aware of whether we're male or female, but what am I bringing to the table?
Yeah.
What is needed at this table? What skill set is needed that I'm bringing, and that I uniquely bring to the table?
Exactly.
And learn to appreciate that. And so I think that's absolutely wonderful. But you have done some collaboration, and you are doing some collaboration because you recently opened up your practice.
I
So
did.
tell us, first of all, about your background, because you have a unique background in not just medicine, okay? Because that's going to lead us to what you're doing right now.
Right. So to give you that background, I was in medical school. It was around second year to third year. And this course on personal training, becoming a personal trainer, came up. And I remember telling my parents, I want to do this. And they looked at me like if I had gone crazy, because they're like, you're in the middle of medical school. You're going to take on a 6-week, or was it a bit longer, a 6-week intensive course. It's going to be both days of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and in what we call the prime time. So time that I would have been studying is right there, like 4 to 6 hours each day, Saturday and Sunday. And you're doing this in medical school. And when I said yes, then they basically got out of my way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they facilitated it. They even dropped me off. And I pursued personal training, and I said, okay, I need to park this for a while, finish medical school, but I wasn't done. I wasn't finished. So after medical school, the first thing that I did was actually recertify to make sure that it was fresh and it was ready. And I started working several different places. And it was in working at a facility here that deals with diabetes. I fell completely in love with diabetes and said, here's what's missing. I remember there was an encounter with a patient who was telling me, doc, I'm exercising, but my blood sugars are going low all the time, but I'm still going. My husband is still carrying me. Is there anything that I can do? I gave her some suggestions, but I wasn't happy. So I said, let's do some reading. So I did some reading, did some research, did a workshop on diabetes and exercise, and said, I can take this a step further. Why not? I'm still young, right? So I found the field clinical exercise physiology. Called up the professor. It just turned out that the professor actually went to school with my dad, even though he is eons away in Massachusetts. He was like, Kirton, I know this. I know is your dad? I was, yes. So it just went hand in hand. So I actually flew up to Toronto, did an exam to be accepted into the program. Like, not many people know this backstory. A lot of work went into getting into that program. And then once I was there, I told him my vision. He was impressed and he said, I want to help. So I did an internship at Joslin Diabetes Center in Boston. And yeah, I came back here and I said, COVID brought me back a little sooner than intention, but I said I'm rolling with it. So I opened up August 1st. We had our blessing and our opening, and I saw my first patient August 2nd.
Wow.
So we are doing things here.
Wow. Wow. That is awesome. I mean, the thing is, you can hear your tenacity all through your story, all through your story. And I just love that relentlessness. So you opened up August 1st. Now tell us how the exercise physiology is playing into your practice. How have you, and that, because there are people on here that our communities have been ravished by diabetes. And so this is really, really significant.
Yes.
So tell us how, if a patient comes to you and let's say they're on borderline or their blood sugars are high, you're trying to prevent either the onset of diabetes or you're trying to help manage that. What does that look like in your practice?
Right. So in my practice, we add movement to medical consultations. That's our baseline. That's our core. We add movement to medical consultations. So we're not going to forget about the medical part. So we're going to assess you. We're going to try to make sure that we attend your blood sugar management from both a medical standpoint and a lifestyle standpoint. But then we take it a step further. And instead of, I want to say, leaving you hanging more or less, we help you transition into finding a safe and effective exercise routine for you. And it's individualized, because I just think that medicine that is catered to the individual is medicine that the individual will truly benefit from. So that's what we're trying to do. And we walk with you. We say, you know what, we get that. Suppose your goal is really, I call it being functionally fit. So suppose your goal is just to be able to walk to the supermarket, lift some stuff and come back, then we're going to work towards that. If your goal is trying to get back to playing with the kids outside, or say playing a pickup basketball game, for example, we'll work towards that. But it's all about being individualized and catering it to your medical condition, right? Because there are many people out there, as you said, who want to move and they're a little unsure of how do I navigate this. So we're helping you navigate those decisions.
That's wonderful, because sometimes there are things that we try to navigate on our own, or we think that will work for us. But now, with the knowledge you have, you would tell me a story today. With the knowledge you have, that's not going to quite work.
Exactly.
So how do you work with the patient that comes in? Because we Google everything now, right?
And you bring it.
Yeah. And my husband's a physician, and he said, my biggest issue is I have to work against Google, because people come in and they Google stuff before they got there, and they're telling me stuff, that Google said, right? So how do you deal with that when you have a patient, if you've experienced that, who's coming, they want to do the right thing, they're trying to do the right thing, but based on your experience, that's probably not going to be the best way to get to their goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent question as always. So the first thing I would say, it starts with listening. So I need to figure out from you your why. I did a presentation earlier where I would have been talking about helping persons figure out why they want to move. What's the reason behind their wanting to achieve these particular goals? So that's the first thing I want to listen for. What's your goal? What is it that you're trying to avoid? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because if we can be on board, remember I spoke about vision earlier. If we have the same vision, then it's going to allow collaboration, to use your word again, and it's going to allow us to come to a beneficial outcome, more or less, a mutually agreed upon outcome. So what I do, I start off by listening. I start off then by asking, where did you find this? So I do some reflective. Where did you find this? And when you read it, who were they talking to? So then they say, oh, that was for the pre-diabetic, but I have, then they say, oh, that's for the person on tablets, but I am on insulin. So you just get them to do some reflective, work first, and they start to figure it out. And then I say, You said that you want to lose weight. Hmm. But you're only moving twice a week with that schedule, and so you reflect it back, and then they say, do I need to do more? Sure. Sure. You need sure.
You're a great coach. You are a great coach. And coach. And coach.
We're gonna do more. And then what we do, a part of our philosophy is we want you to keep doing it. We want you to enjoy it. So I try to look for stuff that people enjoy. So as I said, she wouldn't mind, but a dear patient of mine, she loves jump rope, and I'm not going to stop her from jump roping, but I know that for her to get to her goals, she needs to do some other stuff as well. So instead of taking that out of the routine, I plan to add on stuff to the routine.
You're like, get out of her way. Get out of Kristyn's way, man. You better watch her. She's going to add stuff to the routine. Oh, that is awesome. And I know that, of course, eating is a big part of what we eat in terms of managing diabetes. So how are you handling that or addressing that in your practice?
Right. So I believe that there's a time to do and there's a time to delegate, right? I can only be so many things. So what I've actually done, I've started collaborating with a colleague of mine who is an expert in that field. Met with her actually today, and what we're doing is we're in conversations with how we're going to provide the best service, because we need to be on board with, again, sharing the same vision. So instead of me trying to be an expert in something that I'm not trained in, I can give you advice to a certain degree, but then there's a point where I need to put up my hand and say, this is time for a specialist. So I have collaborated, and she's lovely.
Now, so she will be the person that will be helping your patients with the food.
With the food, with the nutrition, yeah.
Wow.
I will start you off because I can spot some red flags. I can spot if that's 2 cups full of rice.
That's right.
I know that we can reduce that to 1. I can't do that much. I can give you some healthy options. But sometimes when it comes to losing weight, for example, we need to be more specific with calories in, calories out. And that's her expertise.
Wow. I love it. We talked about building teams and collaboration, and you shared with me something about, because I was asking you, do you consciously look for women to collaborate with? Where do you fall within that? Because, you're in the millennial or Xer. Which generation are you in? You're in one of those generations, right? And I noticed that you all do things. You do things differently. So tell us about how you do that. I mean, in terms of finding people to work with, even in opening your practice. How did you do that?
Okay, so the first thing that I looked for when I was opening my practice was, and this might sound a little different, so bear with me, was the spirit. I go with what's the spirit that I get from this person. And I don't mean, witchcraft or anything like that. I mean, there's a vibe, there's something deeper than a vibe. Where's this person's moral compass? Because when it comes to making certain decisions, you're going to need to make sure that you're aligned philosophically, morally, and, what's at this person's core. So I usually go after values first, and after that comes skill. And then after that comes, I like to give back to my roots. So, for example, when it came to my logo design, I knew what I wanted. I could never draw to save my life. Probably the worst subject.
You just can't do everything, Kristyn. You just can't do everything.
I tried. It's such a joke, Barbara, right? That the one assignment that I did in art class that I got an A on, the one assignment, my mom actually framed it. That's how bad I was. That's how bad I was. But yeah, to get back to it. So I do values, I do skill because we need that talent. And then I try to give back. So the guy who did my logo actually used to sit very close to me in school. The guy who gave me advice on technology and website stuff, he sat literally behind me in technical drawing class. And so that's what I try to do. At every turn, I try to give back to persons that, came up with me.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And give other people an opportunity. to help get off the ground with whatever they're doing.
Exactly.
The other thing is it's key to show us sometimes we have resources around us that we don't even recognize that we have. And so it's important for us to look for those resources. So I was asking you earlier, I said, well, would you not have a team? Do you consciously look for women to build relationships with, to have team with, to do life with? I mean, how does that fit in when you're talking about a woman who's leading? Because a lot of times people say, well, if I have a woman, it's difficult to work with, a woman. Sometimes people say that. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, so I guess for me, if I was coming up probably closer to your generation, just right back at you, I might consciously I might consciously be looking for women. But for me, as I said, I'm still looking, my answer is still the same. I'm still looking for values first, talent second. I don't buy into the fact that women are difficult, because in my experience, and I have my answers proof, if you have a woman on a mission, she is the one you want on your team. You're gonna get it done. You're gonna get it done. So I don't intentionally look for women. I look for who's going to get this job done efficiently and with the fewest amount of headaches, right? The fewest number of headaches. That's what I want.
And so we talked about that, but you said you don't. I don't necessarily have to. I'm not going to look for someone that's not aligned with me.
Yes.
But I'm conscious of it.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was telling you before, I think we would have touched on is there's sometimes where we need two voices at the table, two gender voices at the table, and there's no replacing a man's point of view. You can try. You can try to get your voice deep. You can try to do anything, but you can't think.
It doesn't work.
Listen. You cannot. I know Steve Harvey tried. I know he tried to share some insights with us, but we can't think like a man. And you've been married for what? Forever, right?
35 years, forever, right? and you know what, Kristyn? No, that's true, because and I think it is about learning to play well together.
Yeah.
Play well together, work well together. I have ideas about things, and I have learned that my husband, more than likely, he's going to think a little differently about it. And I'm like, when you first get married, girl, and I'm giving you some marriage advice here. When you first get married, it's like, and then you get a little wisdom, and you're like, you know what? That makes sense, because I can make things complicated. For example, he's very like boom, boom, to the point. Here it is, okay. But by the same token, he recognized that there are some skill sets that I bring to the table that he heavily relies on.
Exactly.
And so I think it's really a testament to the fact that it is not about, I just want to work with women, or I just want to work with men, or I just want to work with a person of one race or one culture. It is about bringing all the skills, the abilities, the opportunities to the table, and giving people an opportunity and access to be able to have a seat at the table. I mean, you can't have a seat at the table if you don't have access for opportunity. So I absolutely love that. So tell us, what's next for you? You told me when I met you, people always say, "Woo, you got big ideas. You got big ideas," and I love your big ideas. I do. So tell me what's next for you. What do you hope to see in the next 6 months to a year?
So 6 months to a year, I hope to build my practice. I hope that persons will buy into the program and to what I'm offering, both at an individual level and also at a societal level as well. I want persons to see exercise as more than a hobby. I want it to be respected and seen as a clinical field in and of itself. So that's step one. And then step two is my hope is to build a community. And I'm seeking to do it virtually. And I give you a little taste of it. It's coming in September. I'm doing some litmus testing right now. So I'm hoping to build an online community. It's going to be called Move Through Diabetes. And what I hope to do is to create a safe space there for persons to share their stories and just use life's teachable moments to grow. We can't all experience everything, but sometimes just seeing that somebody doesn't, has a thing for ice cream too, that just goes a long way. That just goes a long way. Oh, I couldn't put down the ice cream. Oh, I couldn't. Me neither, you know. So that helps, and I think that will go a long way. So that's going to be coming in September.
That is absolutely wonderful. So I know that when I had we have a mutual friend, and she had told me about you. But when she told me about you, she was telling me about you coming to the United States
Yes.
to actually be doing. Were you planning to do an internship or something, Henry?
Yeah. So I had yes. So I got accepted to do an internship there at Henry Ford for 3 to 4 months, and then COVID had other intentions, but they are holding the spot for me. So hopefully, with a vaccine coming, fingers crossed, I'll be able to do it next year, God willing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, listen, I always talk about inner circles, and I talk to you about this, and so and how important that is about who you have around you. So you couldn't come to the United States. I'm going to bring the United States to you.
What do you
So
have?
I have two women physicians, and I want you to meet tonight. They are at Henry Ford.
Oh man,
They are absolutely fabulous. And I mean, when I say fabulous, I mean these women are at the top of their game, honey. They are top of their game. I mean, they're no joke. They have been voted best physicians there for multiple years. They are leaders in their own right. One's a physician, and I'm gonna let them tell you where they lead and what they do at Henry Ford. Um, but I'm telling you, not only are they good in skill set in what they do, they are great people, and their values align with yours. Because you're going to hear them when they come on. So I want you to meet them tonight. So I brought them here. I called them up. I said, let me tell you about this young woman from Barbados. They both agreed to come. So they're here tonight to meet you.
awesome.
And I wanted you to connect, because I believe in connecting with good people. So the first person I'm going to add to the stream is Dr. Alexia Norwood.
Hello,
Hey,
Dr.
Kristyn.
Kirton.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
And then the second person, let me see if I can get her up, is Dr. Gwen Dansby. I don't see your picture. Are you there? Unmute yourself. There she is.
Here I am.
My beautiful sister.
Oh.
Listen, I wanted to introduce you to Kristyn Kirton. She is a physician in Barbados. And so they've been listening to the interview in the back room. But I want to introduce you to these wonderful women. And Dr. Norwood, I moved to West Virginia. I have to say she's my personal physician. I don't like the best. So okay, I only have the best. And Dr. Dansby, Grady Dansby, when my mother was visiting me in Michigan years ago, and she was with me for over a month, she went to Dr. Grady Dansby. I only send my mother, I only send my mother to the best. But their credentials, if I were to tell you about their credentials, we would be here all night. I'm going to refer people back because they were on my leadership piece that we did a couple of months ago. And that actually is getting ready to come out in audio form and in ebook form. But I want you to introduce you to them tonight and say hello to Kristyn. And I asked them to come on and to just share with you tonight. First of all, ladies, share what you do at Henry Ford.
Well, I'll start. Good evening. Here in Michigan, it's probably a little after 6:45.
We're on the same time.
We're at the same time. And I just want to say it's been a blessing being able to hear your story. What a wonderful doctor you are, to be able to take not only medicine, but to have the sensitivity of what the Spirit of God says, and being able to take exercise to make it more than a hobby. So I've learned a lot from you listening to you tonight. So here at Henry Ford Health System, I've been with Henry Ford. I'm only 22, but I've been with Henry Ford. So I'm younger than you are, probably.
We don't know how she got those grown children, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't either. I still wonder about that. I've been with the Henry Ford Health System probably a little over 25 years. I'm currently serving as the service chief for family medicine and the director of practice development, and helping other physicians to build their practices and showing them ways that they can connect with the community to build a practice. So I look forward to you coming here to the States and being a part of our program at Henry Ford Health System, and Dr. Dansby and I having the opportunity to host you and to entreat you while you're here.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Norwood also tell us, because she has a passion for education, and she serves currently as the president of the National Alumni Association for Jackson State University. So, I mean, she's leading on all fronts. I mean, medicine wasn't enough, but she went over to education too.
I
So,
love it.
but you're doing both.
Yes, so Jackson State University is one of the large historically Black colleges in the United States, where with our alumni association we have over 50,000 diverse alums from over 64 countries. So I'm grateful that I get to serve to be the president of that alumni body, hoping to link those individuals to students so that we can raise money to make sure there are future doctors like you serving many generations yet to come.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Gwen Grady Dansby, how are you this evening?
I'm well this evening. Thank you, Barbara.
Tell us about you.
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying I have been totally blessed by listening to the testimony and the story that I've heard tonight. So thank you, Dr. Kirton. And yeah, you can call me Gwen. So basically, my journey in medicine has always been one centered around taking care of older adults. And part of the reason for that is because in many areas, not all, but in many cultures, really older adults are invisible. They really do not get the care that they deserve. They are often overlooked because of something known as ageism. There are assumptions made about what they should do and what we should do for them simply based on their age. So my interest has always been in geriatrics. So I'm presently the Chief Medical Officer for PACE. PACE stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. And it's a national model. We have now 123 programs around the country. We have 13 programs in the state of Michigan. And our program was the first program in the state of Michigan and the only program in the state. So our focus is really to identify that older adult population who would otherwise be in the nursing home or be isolated in the community, bring them into a program that we provide all of their care and make certain that they get the best quality of care. So that basically is what I do from a medical perspective.
Wow.
Another thing that I've done that you really have motivated me because we've been a little bit vocal on this. I started a organization. It's been 3 years ago now, Dr. Rover, can you believe
20?
it?
Wow.
Yeah, it's 3 years, called DOTS, Daughters of Christ Standing Steadfast. So it's an organization that brought together African American, Christian, female physicians, and we come together to socialize, to support each other, to encourage and motivate young women to go into medicine and to do other things in our community.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. So I have asked them tonight to come, and I've asked them, they've been listening, and I've asked them, I mean, obviously very, very skilled and great mentors, but great friends and great women of God. And I've asked them each to give you just some thoughts and advice tonight as you start. Okay, so tell us, Kristyn, how old you are. She said she would tell us. I mean, remember, Dr. Noor was only 22.
Right.
She's 22.
But you're older than I am.
I'm only 6 years older than Dr. Norwood.
6 years older.
So 28.
Yeah. So I want them to just talk to you tonight and just to give you some words of encouragement and even advice along the way. And so we're going to start with you, Dr. Norwood. What would you say to your younger self? Now you get a chance to say to your younger self.
My younger self.
Yeah.
So this is one thing I would say, Dr. Kirton. If nothing else, to thine own self be true. Right. Mm-hmm. So as you're building a practice around the things that are important to you, as you've noted with exercise and managing chronic illnesses such as diabetes and using exercise as a prescription versus just a hobby. When other opportunities come, when other individuals come, and as you're preparing how it is that you're going to manage patients, make sure that you're being true to yourself. Now, in doing that, there's an authenticity when you are true to yourself. And I'm just going to give you one example. In my bio, as a part of my write up for Henry Ford Health System, um, I wrote that my philosophy of care was allowing patients to live their best health through God's to be God's instrument in doing that and allowing patients to live their best life. So I really wanted to make sure that people realize that I was a Christian. That's who I am. Now, that may cause you not to want to see me because that's not the type of physician you want. You may not want a 22-year-old Christian female physician. I did put my age in there too, I think. Didn't I, Dr. Dansby?
No.
You did that a little while ago, so I don't remember.
Okay, so I may have taken my age out, but I found that there have been patients who have looked for me or found me because when they read my bio, they saw that I was a Christian and that's what they wanted. Whereas some would say, I wouldn't put that out there because that, could bring up all kinds of other issues. But if you're true to who you are, God will bring the individuals that are meant to be a part of your practice. God will open the doors of opportunity when you're doing the right things and representing Him. He will bless your practice so that it not only multiplies and grows, but that is fruitful, bringing about all of the things that you need to provide for every one of your needs. So be authentic with God, be authentic with what it is that you want to be and how you want to have your practice. Attorney Littles will tell you, unfortunately, one of my areas of opportunity is with time. So my schedule tends to run behind time.
She's at
Very
the office right now.
Yes. So I'm still at work. I tend to run behind time because I want to hear my patients' stories. I
Yes.
want to be able to sit. I want to be able to think through what they're thinking. And sometimes I just want to listen. Isn't any medicine that I need to perform. It's the art of listening to allow my patients to get off what it is that's bothering them. So patients who are very strict with their time usually will choose not to come and see me because it's not usually a quick 10-15 minute visit, or 10-minute wait for me. I'm trying to do better, and God has allowed me to do better with time, Attorney Little. So I am doing better with time. But that's being true to who I am. So I would say, one, the last three things, because this is the same thing I tell my kids, that's a part of who you are, making sure that you keep your priorities in line. And for our household, it's God first, family second, and then education and occupation third. So keep your divine order that God has set in place, God first, family second, and then your education and occupation as your third levels of opportunity, and allow God. And if you do that, keeping Him first, everything you need will be provided,
Amen.
Amen.
including the opportunity to meet great people like Dr. Dansby and Attorney Littles. That is who God is.
Amen.
She's awesome. And let me say this. She is what she said, she absolutely does. I thought it was just me because I was her friend. I didn't know it was just me. But I knew though that every patient that comes in, she makes that they feel special
Absolutely.
because you don't feel like you're just a number. And so I have always appreciated that. I have always appreciated that. And I will tell you before I leave that office, before I get off the table, she's gonna pray with me.
Amen.
Pray with me. So I just love you. And Dr. Grady Dansby.
With
Well,
no
I
words.
don't know that there's much to add, but I'm gonna sort of probably reiterate some of the things that not only Dr. Norwood said, but some of the things that was already said, Dr. Norwood. One of the things that I think is most important to be successful in life is God first. And you started there. It is God first because everything starts with God, God is in the middle, and it ends with. there is no God, there is no success. So putting God first is so important. The other thing that you said that I'm so impressed by for a young person is vision. And the Bible says that without a vision, that people perish. Let me tell you the definition of vision: the ability to think or plan the future with imagination or wisdom.
Wow.
Often when we think about wisdom, we think about age. And it is true that with age, God's expectation is that there's certain things that we learn and there's certain wisdom that we gain. But when God is in the picture, it doesn't matter your age. God's wisdom will accelerate you, will promote you, will propel you. So the fact that you have a vision, the ability to think or plan the future with imagination or wisdom, imagine. God's work is to make certain that we are an example to the world, that being a Christian does not mean that you live a marginal life. Being a Christian means that you excel in every area of your life. So putting God first, number one, continue to do that. Number two, having a vision. There's something else that I really love. And basically, this is something that you're doing with your patients, and I want to reinforce that. The Bible also says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth thinks. So we have to, what you're doing is you have to teach people to think differently, because what they think, they will become. If they think they can't do it, they won't do it. You could have thought, I can't do this, I'm too young, I didn't do this, this is where I'm from. You could have gone through all of it. Oh, I'm a Black woman. No, as a man or woman thinks in his heart, so is he or she. So you making certain that what you think will propel you, it will promote you, it will project you. And there's something else. It'll take you before great men. It will take you before kings and governors and princes. It will take you before people of power, people who will then be influenced by what you said and will then influence what you not only do, but what you will do. Because what you're doing now is just what you're doing now. God has a plan for your future. The Bible says that he knows the thoughts he has for you, and they are good, to give you a hope and a future. So continue to do the things that you're doing. God has already started the work.
Yes, he
Dr.
has.
Norwood talked about being true to yourself. Remember, being true to yourself is being true to who you are, to who you belong to. So it's being true to the things of God.
Absolutely.
And finally, I have to say, it is so important that what you've done is that you can continue to coach, mentor, and inspire other young people, other women. It doesn't have to be limited to women, but let's talk women for a minute, because so often the roles of women, especially in leadership, is minimized. I was just reading today that when you look at women and levels of leadership, especially in the government, and we're looking especially of the role of leadership during crisis, they only make up 7% of those in leadership within governing bodies. We can change that number.
Yes.
And it starts with you.
We are changing that number.
Influencer.
Yeah.
You've been called by God to do great things. The gifts and talents of the Lord are without repentance. He's given you a gift. He's given you a talent. You've got something to do. So take it and inspire other young women. Inspire other young people. Do what you've done. And to do greater than what you've done.
She's inspiring some of these older people.
Yeah.
You got that right. You got that right. Thank you, Barb. It's not limited, because some have always been told what they couldn't do. And they need to hear somebody say what you can do.
What you can do.
You can do this. You can. The greater one is in you. You can accomplish it.
Absolutely.
Amen.
So I love that.
I think I'm talked out.
I love that, Kristyn. So Kristyn, I just wanted to inspire you to come on to the United States. Come on.
Come here.
You haven't been before.
I'm so ready.
You already
want
got a
you
crew.
forward.
You already got a crew.
We want you look forward.
So I want them, I'm going to have them, I'm going to get with you and connect you with the two of them. So you can keep in touch with the two of them. And I'm going to have you have the last parting words, Kristyn, and then I want to gift you something, and we'll be done.
Yeah, thank you to doctors, to both of you for those kind words. You said a lot of things there that, as you said, it just makes me feel good to know that my thoughts are valid, you know, and that goes a long way, especially when you're now starting out. You want to hear that you make sense, and you want to hear that you're on the right track. So I really appreciate everything that you said. My parting words, I would say, is, you know, what is your deepest fear? And I'll leave that with you. That's the poem that I live by, and I think that it's extremely important. I mean, the last two lines go like this: as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So that's what I'm trying to do. This is not an easy venture, but just by doing it, I can see myself inspiring other persons. My friends are doing stuff, and that's what I want to do. I want to continue to liberate and inspire. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Now, Kristyn, you know, I believe in having good people around you. I believe in continuing to learn and continuing to lead well. And so my gift to you tonight is 3 months of coaching.
Oh my gosh.
For your business. For your business. Because I want to make sure that you have every tool you need to get your business up and running well. And so I just believe that with coaching and with these women of God, you just can't lose. So we will start whenever you get ready. We'll coach once a week for the next 3 months. And I believe that you'll be ready to go and do what you need to do. So that's my gift to you tonight.
Thank you so much.
I love you much. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. You have heard Kristyn Kirton. You know who she is now. She's in Barbados. You better get there before she gets to the U.S. But that's okay. She started her practice, so she will be coming back home. I want to thank Barbados for tuning in tonight and just encouraging. And just to know that women are leading, and men, thank you for tuning in, understanding that making room at the table for a woman, understand that it increases who we are as a world, who we are as society, and we're seeing that now. So let's embrace that and understand we're just here to walk into the greatness that God's called us to. Yeah. Dr. Dansby, thank you for coming. Dr. Norwood, thank you for coming. Look, this is the first time I've seen them in a while.
Thank you for the invitation, Attorney Littles.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Because I know how busy you are in the middle of COVID. And so I just thank you. But they have always been those two to take out time to do that. So everyone, I want to say good night. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share this video with someone. Share it on your Facebook page. And make sure you're on my page. Make sure you like my page before you leave. Okay. But share it with other people. And I'll be coming back to you and letting you know when her group goes up, when she starts her group. I think you said in September. In September. And how you can become a part of that. Okay. So, ladies, thank you tonight, and each one of you continue to lead well.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Lead well.
Love you.